All right, so we're going to go over chapter 3 real quick. So it picks up at school right where chapter 2 left off, and Scout is beating up Walter because she thinks that it's Walter's fault she got in trouble. Anyway, Jem comes over and says, "Hey, we know you don't have any money to go buy lunch. We know you don't have any food at home. Want to come have food with us?" So Jem and Scout and Walter head back to the Finch home to get some lunch. Walter mentions on the walk that he ate some of the walnuts that fell from the Radley tree, and they pizened him, and he almost died. So it's just something to be aware of, that the nuts from the Radley tree could kill you. So that takes us to page 24. Here you got Walter Cunningham sitting there, dirt poor. And he is looking at all this food that Calpurnia serves him, and he's like, "Oh, look at all that. That's amazing." And he says, "Could I have some syrup? You know, like what you put on your pancakes?" Except he pours it all over his sandwich and all over his chicken and all this stuff. And Scout looks at him and goes, "What are you doing, you crazy person?" And Calpurnia says, "Scout, kitchen, now." Scout's in trouble. So about on page 24, it's Scout's defending herself, and she says, "Oh, he ain't company, Cal. He's just a Cunningham." And then she gets cut off real quick, and Calpurnia jumps in there and says, "Hush your mouth. Don't matter who they are. Anybody sets foot in this house is your company. And don't you let me catch you marking on their ways like you was so high and mighty. Your folks might be better than the Cunninghams, but it don't count for nothing the way you disgracing them. If you can't act fit to eat at the table, you can just sit here and eat in the kitchen." That's a really important passage because Calpurnia, number one, is doing the lesson here. She is the one teaching Scout, just like a mother would. Number two, what she is saying is, your family might be richer than their family. Your family might be more educated than their family. In so many ways, your family might actually be better than the Cunninghams, but you never get to act like you're better than anybody. She says, your parents would be disgraced if they saw you treating somebody like this. Your parents would be embarrassed of your attitude right now. Now, Scout doesn't really get this. She gets kind of upset. Anyway, moving right along, they go back to school for the afternoon, and we meet Burris Ewell, the first time we meet a Ewell. And he's got cooties. He's got little lice crawling around in his hair, and it's really gross. And the teacher kind of freaks out. She says, "Oh," Miss Caroline says, "Go home and wash." And Burris says, "I'm going home, but I ain't coming back." The other kids try to explain it away, like, "Oh, you don't understand." And then on page 28, Burris says to the teacher, "Report and be damned, do you? Ain't no snot-nosed slut of a school teacher ever born can make me do nothing. You ain't making me go nowhere, missus. You just remember that. You ain't making me go nowhere." Then he walks out, and the teacher starts crying and feels absolutely terrible. So the teacher, sadly, has had a really rough first day. And Scout comes home. She got in a fight with Walter. The teacher was mad at her for knowing how to read and how to write. So Scout's really sad. And she comes and she sits on her daddy's lap at the end of the day, and Atticus is holding her. And Atticus says this, page 30, probably the most important passage in the entire book. So look at it carefully. And he says, "If you can learn a simple trick, Scout, you'll get along a lot better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view." "Sir?" Scout asks. She doesn't understand. And he says, "Until you climb into his skin, walk around in it." So think about that. What does it mean to climb into someone's skin? And no, it's not some sort of creepy Silence of the Lambs thing going on here. What Atticus is trying to tell Scout is, try and imagine life from the perspective of someone else. What does life look like to Walter? What did the school day look like to Miss Caroline from her perspective? What does the day look like from Burris Ewell's perspective? What does life look like from Boo Radley's perspective? So you have to think about that. Every character that enters into the story, what does the world look like from their point of view, their education, their socioeconomic status, their racial status? What does their world look like? All right, really important passage. And that pretty much finishes it up for that chapter. So, hope you enjoyed that chapter, and we will talk again soon.